Get ready, Padres fans. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one, gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Philadelphia Phillies in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Phillies, left-hander Christopher Sanchez, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 3:40 p.m. here on the West Coast. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we as always have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We hear from the newest Padres, Samad Taylor, get into the transactions the Padres made earlier today. Just a few minutes, we'll be joined by Jesse Ackler from Philadelphia. Our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today's game 32-27. Padres have lost 3 in a row. They have lost 7 of their last 8 games. Meanwhile, the Phillies come in 31-29. They are now 22-10 since interim manager Don Mattingly took over for Rob Thompson. We had the series opener in Philly last night. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Starting pitchers Randy Vasquez and Aaron Nola matching zeros in the first 2 innings last night in Philly, but then Fernando Tatis Jr. singled to begin the third. Gavin Sheets was next.
Tatis pretty good lead at first, started then stopped. Sheet swings, hits it in the air to right field and deep. Garcia backing up, he will watch. This one gonna go! Gavin Sheets, a 2-run homer here in the third, and the Padres go ahead. It's 2-0.
Padres still led 2-0 going to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Trey Turner hit a leadoff single against Vasquez. Bryce Harper then dug in.
Harper swings, sends it in the air deep to left center field. Merrill's back at the wall. He can watch because it's going to go. 2-run homer, Bryce Harper. That'll tie the game here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
From that point, both starting pitchers did not allow another run. Vasquez went 5, Nola went 5. It became a battle of the bullpens from that point on. In the bottom half of the sixth inning, Jeremiah Estrada entered a 2-2 game. Estrada issued a leadoff walk to Bryce Harper. Brandon Marsh singled. Harper went to third base. Alec Bohm then grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Harper scored. Phillies took a 3-2 lead. Phillies bullpen did the rest from that point forward. Orion Kirkering pitching a scoreless 7th inning. Brad Keller a scoreless 8th inning. Joan Duran collected his 13th save of the season. He struck out the side in the 9th, and the final score yesterday in the series opener, Phillies 3 and the Padres 2. Padres going 0-for-7 with runners in scoring position in yesterday's game. These teams have played 4 games since the start of last week. All have been Phillies wins, but how about this? These two teams have combined for 18 runs. Again, combined for 18 runs in the 4 games. And Padres have scored just 5 runs total in the 4 games against Philadelphia. So we'll see if the Padres offense can kick it into a bit of a higher gear here today against the Phillies in game 2 of this 3-game series. Will not be easy. We'll discuss why with Jesse in just a moment. Padres did make a transaction before today's game. They designated Nick Castellanos for assignment. They selected the contract of infielder and outfielder Samad Taylor from AAA El Paso. Taylor will wear number 0. Taylor had a nice spring training, good stuff in El Paso. We'll see how Taylor fits into the puzzle for the Padres as far as their lineup and coming off the bench. But again, Nick Castellanos, who the Padres signed in spring training, he has been DFA'd. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 3:40, let's go out to Philly.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, the news of the day, as I just said, Nick Castellanos DFA'd, the Padres selecting the contract of Samad Taylor. He joins the ball club as of today, will be available off the bench in this one. Your reaction to the moves the Padres made today?
Yeah, kind of interesting, both from a timing standpoint, being here in Philadelphia, but then also from a standpoint of, just a roster construction perspective. And it was interesting listening to Craig Stammen down on the bench because, he was pretty straightforward in saying, they want the makeup of this 26-man roster and this bench to look and, I guess, act a little bit differently. And it sounds like perhaps they want their style of play to be a little bit different. And I guess, with the offense sort of mired in this slog that they have been mired in right now, that makes some sense. And it sounds like they want to get more athletic. They want to get speedier. And perhaps they want to play a brand of baseball that is a little bit more reflective of that and a more athletic brand of baseball. And I get that. I completely understand that. I love that brand of baseball. I think that's a fun brand of baseball to play, and that's certainly something that can jumpstart a struggling offense. But I would also say next to that, something that Manny Machado said in the clubhouse today when he was asked about the Castellanos, situation and being designated for assignment. And to paraphrase Manny, this team will go as far as the core guys will take them. And I think that's the bigger picture, reality of 2026 for the Padres. And I like the idea of injecting athleticism and excitement and trying to stir things up a little bit and, maybe play a different brand of baseball and run the bases, with some aggressiveness and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, as Manny said, if those guys don't get themselves all the way going, that other stuff probably won't end up mattering all that much. Yeah, no, totally agree with you. Agree with Manny. I think it does boil down to the element as simple as that. The big guys got to carry the way if the Padres are going to get this offense going once again. We're joined by Jesse Agler on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Jesse, let's talk about the guy on the mound for the Phillies today. Left-hander Christopher Sanchez, as good as anybody in baseball right now. We saw it with our own eyes in San Diego last week. This is going to be another very tough test for the Padres here today. He's on really a historic run. Literally. Yeah, the guy hasn't given up a run in forever. You got to go back to April 30th. The San Diegan, Casey Schmidt, the last guy to drive in a run against him. It was an RBI single in the first inning that day. And, it's pretty remarkable. This is one of those things that happens, basically once a generation. Obviously, Orel Hershiser has the all-time record. He set it in San Diego back in September of 1988. And, Zach Greinke had a run back in 2015 in which he got up to, I think, 45 and 2/3 innings. And Sanchez coming in just an inning behind that right now. That's the only guy this century, in the 2000s, who has gotten this far along without giving up a run. So it's really just not something we see very often. And even putting the scoreless inning streak aside, the guy's got a 1.47 ERA. And it's June 3rd. He's the best pitcher in baseball right now. And the Padres faced him 7 innings on Wednesday. Obviously didn't have a run, but they did collect 6 hits against him. Mm-hmm. And that's, we talked about this on the broadcast that day. That is the thing with Sanchez, is he gives up a lot of hits because he's a ground ball guy. And the strikeouts are up for sure this year compared to previous seasons. And he can get his strikeouts, and he had 9 of them last Wednesday in San Diego, but he is going to give up hits. And so, if maybe the Padres are able to take better advantage of those base runners that they may well end up having here today, they can do something to break up that scoreless inning streak. Walker Buehler went toe-to-toe with him for the most part on Wednesday. He pitched very, very well. And the only runs that came in that were tagged to Buehler were inherited runs in that game. So Walker's on a nice heater as well. Obviously, nobody is on the kind of heater that Christopher Sanchez is on. But, hey, all good things must come to an end. So maybe the end of the scoreless inning streak for Sanchez will come here tonight. Jesse, and to just quickly build off your point about Buehler, that does feel like, I don't know if I want to call it an underrated storyline right now. Maybe it is a little bit because of some of the struggles of the offense, but it does feel like Walker Buehler has settled into a little bit of a groove. You look at his last 4 or 5 starts, he has been very, very solid for this ball club. No, I agree. I think it is kind of an underrated, under-discussed sort of thing that's going on right now, and it's been a little bit under the radar, and I think he's okay with that. I think, Buehler kind of came out. He had his struggles. We saw his frustrations, and, he's a guy that's a veteran guy that's sort of learning a new way to do it, and I think he's kind of figuring some things out, but he's still sort of building himself up. He's still sort of working through it, but he's understanding things now, and he's just pitching very, very well. And that's huge for this team, to state the obvious. I mean, the Padres, I think it's been 13 games now since they've had a quality start. And that one that he had last Wednesday up against Sanchez, about as close as they've been during that time.
Jesse, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up at 3:30 as the Padres play game 2 of this 3-game series in Philly. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sammy.
All right, Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, our starting pitching matchup here today. Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres. Christopher Sanchez, who is on quite the roll. We'll get into it plenty more later on the mound today for Philadelphia. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you have a key to today's game, let me know what it is, and I may just read it live here on the air. When we return, we'll give you a first look at the Padres lineup today. Plus, we hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, we hear from the newest San Diego Padres, Samad Taylor. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. We're back in a moment, right after this.
You're
Let's go.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 3:40 p.m. here on the West Coast as the Padres play Game 2 of this 3-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies. Our pregame coverage is always brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. Let's take a look at the Padres lineup today. Looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. playing second base. He's leading off. Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting second. Manny Machado at third base, batting third. Gavin Sheets in left field, batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, batting fifth. Ty France at first base today, batting sixth. Jackson Merrill in center field, batting seventh. Jace Bowen in right field, batting eighth. And Rodolfo Duran doing the catching and batting ninth with right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for San Diego. Left-hander Christopher Sanchez on the mound for Philadelphia. And once again, some news before the game. Nick Castellanos designated for assignment. The Padres calling up Samad Taylor, and we'll talk more about him later. He can play infield. He can play outfield. We'll get into Taylor in a little while. But Taylor is up. He's on the 26-man roster, and Nick Castellanos, the veteran, has been DFA'd. All right, let's go to Philadelphia, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen on the Castellanos DFA, Taylor getting called up, and much, much more.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Start with the Castellanos transaction and how it came down, why you decided to do it.
Yeah, we kind of been talking a little bit about our roster and the flexibility that we'd like to have with the bench, and maybe a little bit more speed, a little bit more dynamic players. And, with our last two guys that we brought up with Jace and Samad, we got a little bit more element of speed, some defense, some versatility that we can use on the bench.
What was the conversation like with Nick?
Yeah, it was tough. Nick's such a pro. I've really enjoyed having him here in San Diego. We had conversations with him when we signed him that, he was going to earn his playing time, and it was probably going to be a different role for him. It wasn't going to be an everyday role that he'd been accustomed to for the last 12, 15 years of his entire life playing baseball. And I think it was definitely something that was tough for him. It was tough for him to transition from playing every single day to playing, 2 days and then 2 days off and then play a day, then another day off. It was, a difficult transition to him, and something that he probably didn't really love either, in the end, and it didn't feel comfortable for him. So I think the conversations that we had back and forth were great communication, but, just decided to make a move and change the roster up a little bit.
Anything at all to the timing? Here you are back in Philadelphia, the place that, let him go in the first place. It's just odd, coincidental.
Yeah, oddly coincidental, and I think it wasn't just like a one-way conversation. These were conversations that we had with Nick and with, me and AJ and the staff for, the last few weeks and last few days. And, we just kind of felt like this was the right time for it.
Sorry if I missed it, Craig. What's the goal now, in terms of the offense and in terms of what Taylor can bring? You made a couple moves here that seem to change the complexion of the offense.
Yeah. We're not changing the core of what our offense is, The goal of the offense is to score more runs, than what we've been scoring. And I know that's going to happen. We've got good players. I think with the transaction with Samad coming up and Jace, they bring one thing that we haven't really had, and that's some speed and some youthfulness and some good defense. And so, just trying to change it up a little bit, see if maybe that's the right formula to get us, kickstart a little bit, get this offense going a little bit, get our team going a little bit. It's not necessarily the offense, but just how can we play some team baseball.
Quick thought on Buehler. Using the cutter more, but it looks like it's the four-seamer that's more effective for him. Can you discuss how it is he's using those one place, how one pitch plays off the other, and what you're seeing from him?
Yeah, I think all pitches play off each other and how you sequence them and when you use them and what hitters you're using them with. I definitely think the cutter that he's used has been very effective against left-handed hitters. He's used it against righties also, and he's always had the good four seam. It may not be 99 to 100 now, but it's still 94, 96, which can play, and he's figured out a way to use all of his pitches and be very effective.
You said it wasn't a one-way conversation. Have you had this discussion with Nick before about this possibility?
Oh, yeah. The whole I mean, not this possibility of not being on the team. You don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, but just his role in general and how he fits on the ball club and what playing time looks like. I think one thing that he asked of us when we, were kind of talking about signing him was being open and honest and having good communication. And I think you guys talking to him, he felt that that's what it was. I definitely felt that's what it was. And just continuing that conversation with each other and, helping him try to handle some of the struggles that he was having, not playing every single day. And coming to grips with that a little bit, coming to grips with what that looks like on a daily basis and how to be prepared. And, it just felt kind of trending towards the direction of he wasn't very comfortable in that role. And, for him personally, I know he's got a lot going on with his family and wanting to be around his kids a lot. Maybe this is an opportunity for that, but maybe an opportunity for him to go somewhere else and find a place where he could play, every day.
He's not the only one on this offense that's been struggling. How does the kind of philosophical change, how can that ignite an offense adding some youth? How does that?
Yeah, it just allows us to maybe do a few different things. We could play a little bit of small ball. We can, steal a little bit more, do some hit and runs. We get guys on the bases that, aren't afraid of getting thrown out and can be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe beat out an infield single, stuff like that could just give energy to a lot of different people.
You guys saw Sanchez last week. How tough of a challenge is preparing for a guy like him right now, even though he's only a 3-pitch guy, maybe really only 2-pitch guy at times. What is the challenge of him right now?
Yeah, the challenge of him is he doesn't make mistakes, and that's kind of what hitting is. I think at the moment is you've got to be able to wait out the mistake and then do damage with it. And one thing watching him, he's kind of old school in that he just peppers the bottom of the zone and he doesn't leave it. And not bottom of the zone is not like thigh high, but it's like the hollow of the knee. And he does a great job of commanding his pitches down there, both his changeup and his sinker. And then he mixes in a slider just to surprise you every once in a while. So he's definitely a complete pitcher, and he's as tough a test as we're going to face all year. And it's a challenge every time you face someone in the big leagues that's the best. And I know our players are excited for that challenge.
Then we talk about facing a sinker ball and trying to get him to elevate a little bit, but now with ABS in there, how does that dynamic work? How does it, if at all, alter your approach to a guy like Sanchez?
Yeah, I mean, I was a sinker baller. I always thought it was funny when hitters were like, yeah, we just tried to see you up. I was like, yeah, my whole goal was to not throw it up. So it's like a little conundrum, like how good can I be throwing it down and limit the amount of times I throw it up? And if I do throw it up, can I be strategic throwing it up? And I think that's what, we're talking about with Christopher. What he does really well is he knows what the hitters are trying to do off him, and he's just going to stay, this is what I'm great at, and I'm going to be really, 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 really good at it.
To follow up on Nick, to just get clarification, sorry if this is out of left field, was it part of the intention and the plan to keep him on the team so that he could come back here for a game and get the reception from the fans and get the tribute from the Phillies like you did?
I don't think he really, when we talked to him about it, it wasn't something that was like, I have to do this. And it definitely was something like, the timing is definitely, we're here in Philadelphia and he's had a history here. But I think both sides feel pretty comfortable with how this kind of went down.
I know it didn't ultimately work out, but did he deal well with the role change? I know it was an issue last year, but I'm sure you gave it a try.
You know what? I have so much respect for Nick Castellanos. He was so much fun to have on our team, and he came up with some huge hits throughout the year. Played at times really good for us. But his roster fit, with Miguel Andujar, Ty France, Nick Castellanos, all three on the roster at the same time. We kind of left spring training thinking that was going to be a battle. Two of those three guys were probably going to stick around, and one, was, probably going to be the odd man out if we ever decided to, make a change with the roster. And Miguel and Ty have been two of our best hitters thus far. And that's kind of, just the nature of baseball and, how things work out.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen before today's game in Philadelphia. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. Again, a lot of thoughts there, and as you probably expected, especially in Philadelphia, about Nick Castellanos getting DFA'd. I want to add one more thing just on a personal level with Castellanos, and I want to give him a lot of credit because I thought Nick handled himself really, really well inside that clubhouse and with reporters and in the interviews that I did with him throughout spring training and throughout our pre and post game coverage here on the Padres radio network. You know, a guy shows up, had sort of that messy ending with the Phillies, and you don't really know what to expect when he shows up. But I found Nick super professional, super thoughtful, and, wish him the best in whatever comes next in his career. First pitch coming up at 3:40 in Philadelphia as the Padres try to bounce back. Padres have lost 3 in a row, 7 of their last 8 games. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Well, let's begin with the one guy in the hot category right now. That's Fernando Tatis Jr. 3 hits last night in his last 14 games. Fernando is batting .400 with a .459 on-base percentage. In the not category, we take a look at a couple of guys. Freddie Fermin not doing the catching today. Rodolfo Duran in the lineup for the Padres, but Freddie is hitless in his last 26 at-bats. And we also look at Manny Machado. Manny is batting .118 in his last 110 at-bats. That's a 13 for 110 span, a .189 on-base percentage in his last 30 games. Before this season, he had never had fewer than 18 hits in a 30-game span. And again, 13 hits in this current 30-game span. So look, I'm not trying to pile on Manny here, but I'm just pointing out it has been a really rough go for Manny Machado really throughout the season, but especially in the last 30 games or so. We'll see if Manny can get it going against a tough customer on the mound, Christopher Sanchez, here today. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not. Now let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Aaron Judge out of the Yankees lineup for a second straight game today. He's been dealing with discomfort in his right shoulder and upper rib area. Phase 1 of All-Star voting is underway. This year's Midsummer Classic is in Philadelphia, July 14th at Citizens Bank Park. So you can now vote for the Padres on MLB.com. Phase 1 of All-Star voting officially underway. And finally, some headlines for you just as far as games today. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in a little bit. But Shohei Ohtani taking the ball in Phoenix tonight against the Diamondbacks. He is the only pitcher with a lower ERA than Christopher Sanchez, who will face the Padres tonight across the majors this season among pitchers with at least 50 innings of work. Now, Ohtani has thrown 24-plus fewer innings than Sanchez this season, but Ohtani's ERA is at 0.82 on the year. Paul Skeens will try to help the Pirates extend their win streak to 5 games. He faces the American League Pitcher of the Month, Spencer Arrighetti, in Houston today. Mariners looking for their 3rd straight series sweep, not going well for them right now against the Mets. They had been in the midst of a really good run, though. We'll get more on that game coming up later. Rangers have won a season-high 5 in a row. They're looking to sweep the Cardinals, get back to 500 for the first time since they were 16-16 entering play on May 2nd. And that's a quick look at some of the headlines from around Major League Baseball. And again, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in our next segment. When we come back, we tell you about one Philly who is returning to the Phillies lineup today. We hear from new Padre Samad Taylor, our keys to today's game. First pitch coming up at 3:40. We send things out to Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon in just about 22 minutes right here on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up in Philadelphia at 3:40 p.m. We send things out to Jesse and Bob Scanlon in under 20 minutes. Let's tell you about one Philly player that is back in the lineup here today.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, Phillies catcher JT Realmuto was out of the lineup yesterday. He was hit by a pitch in the left wrist a few days ago. He is back in the lineup today for the Phillies. Most recent injury news for the Padres: Ramon Laureano going to the IL with hip inflammation. Jace Bowen called up from AAA El Paso. And as you already know, probably by now, Nick Castellanos DFA'd earlier today. Samad Taylor is also now up from AAA El Paso. So a quick update: JT Realmuto back in the Phillies lineup for this one against the Padres. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at the full out-of-town scoreboard. We do have a few finals already today. Marlins beating the Nationals in D.C. 4-1. Tigers beating the Rays 7-2 in Tampa Bay. Tigers sweeping a 3-game series from the Rays in Tampa. Rays came into that series playing really well. Tigers not so much at all, but the Tigers win it 7-2. White Sox beat the Twins in Minnesota 8-0. If you have not been keeping an eye on the Chicago White Sox, they are now 33-29. Right in the mix in the American League Central. They are having a really, really nice year so far. One game going on right now. Mets leading the Mariners 7-1 in Seattle in the 9th inning. Games coming up in just a little bit or later on this evening. Orioles and the Red Sox at 3:45 in Boston. Guardians and the Yankees in New York at 4:05. Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees in that one. Royals and the Reds in Cincinnati at 4:10. Blue Jays and Braves in Atlanta at 4:15. Giants and the Brewers at 4:40 in Milwaukee. Rangers and the Cardinals at 4:45 in St. Louis. A's and the Cubs in Chicago at 5:05. Pirates and the Astros in Houston at 5:10. Paul Skeens against Spencer Arrighetti. Good pitching matchup in Houston tonight. Rockies and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. And finally, Dodgers and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 6:40. Shohei Ohtani against Zach Gallen, the pitching matchup in Phoenix tonight. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have more on those games coming up in a little while on our post-game coverage. Well, Samad Taylor is set to make his Padre debut. Not in the Padres lineup, but certainly available off the bench today. Taylor grew up in Corona, California, 10th round pick out of Corona High School by Cleveland, and he would bounce around a little bit from Cleveland to the Blue Jays organization, ultimately to the Royals organization. He was called up to the big leagues for the first time in 2023, played 31 games with the Royals, then had a couple of cups of coffee in the big leagues with the Mariners in 2024, and last season as well, appeared in 4 games with the Mariners last season, signed with the Padres in the offseason, was at spring training, went down to AAA El Paso, and Samad Taylor put up some really good numbers at AAA El Paso, a 319 average, 406 on base, 906 OPS, some power, 7 home runs, 25 RBIs for Samad Taylor. He's a guy who can play a little bit all over the diamond with AAA El Paso. He's played all 3 outfield spots. He's played a little second base as well. So he is a versatile player, and we'll see how Samad Taylor does in a Padres uniform. He spoke inside the Padres clubhouse after getting called up.
Looked at I had 5 missed calls from our AAA manager, Zamo, and I called him back, and he was, hey, where you at? I said, I'm at home. 11 o'clock. We just got done with a game. And then he's like, hey, you're going up. You got a 6 a.m. flight to Philly tomorrow. So get your stuff packed and mentally ready and get up out of here.
Was there any moment there where you thought you wouldn't just tug my leg like that? Did you have any doubt at all that he was serious?
Not really. He doesn't really come off the guy to joke about something like that. So I'm blessed. I'm happy, and we're here.
What did your wife first reaction?
My wife thought I was joking. Called her and was like, I got a 6 a.m. flight to Philly. I didn't beat around the bush. Just told her right away, 6 a.m. flight to Philly. And she was like, what? You joking? I was like, no, I wouldn't joke about nothing like this. And she's like, well, you're pretty sarcastic. I was like, this isn't nothing to be sarcastic about. I'm going back up to the big league. So, like I said, we're here. I'm happy. Glad to be around a group of guys and get back on the track of winning.
Have they talked to you at all about what your role's likely going to be?
Just come over here, spark plug, cause havoc, do what I do best, just be myself, and like I said, just hope to help the team win.
More time in infield, outfield, kind of as needed?
Wherever I'm at, wherever they want me to go, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna give it my all and see where we're at.
What's it mean to you to get this call again? It's such a long journey back and forth. I know you had a couple of brief stints with Seattle and Kansas City, but here you get another one.
I mean, hey, anytime you can put a big league jersey on, it's a blessing. Regardless if it's for a day, if it's for 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is, it's a blessing. So to be back up here with a good group of guys is amazing. I can't ask for anything better.
What has been, we see the numbers, what has been working for you?
Just be myself. I'm not trying to do too much. Not trying to be somebody I'm not. Knowing what I have to bring to the table every day to be productive. And I mean, we look at it now and see the numbers. The numbers are good. It could be better. I want better on myself. But yeah, we're in a good spot.
You say cause havoc. What do you kind of mean by that? Get on base and
just get on base. Cause havoc on the base paths. Play great defense. Put together good at bats. Just be a hard out. Just be hard wherever I'm at. If it's on the defense side or if it's on the offense side and pinch hit or whatever the case may be, just be ready.
You sort of mentioned it, but you had this call before. I imagine it never gets old. What are the thoughts that go through your mind when it's like, oh, getting another shot?
Only thought that came to my mind really, being from California. My grandma's never seen me play, so being able to be in San Diego is big. When I got the call, the first thing I thought was, hey, my grandma can come see me play now. So it's a big blessing.
Where is she?
She's in Los Angeles. Hour 45, not too bad.
So you've already talked to her, made some plans maybe for this weekend?
I've talked to my dad about it. Not so much my grandma yet, just how hectic it was at the time frame of everything. But talked to my family. Told my family I wanted them there Friday. So everybody will be there Friday.
Your wife will make the trip out from Arizona?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Anybody here tonight?
No, me, myself, and the Lord above. That's it. That's it.
Sounds like it's pretty meaningful to you that your grandmother will be there. What does she know? Journey.
Everything. Like I said, she's never seen me play. That's a big thing for me. She's going through other stages in life, so I feel like right now it's big.
That was Samad Taylor earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Yeah, very cool to hear about Samad returning to Southern California and an opportunity for his grandmother to come see him play. So some very meaningful stuff there. And we'll see when Samad indeed does make his Padres debut. First pitch coming up at 3:40 in Philadelphia. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number one, somehow, some way, figure out Christopher Sanchez. Sanchez did not allow a run in 5 starts during May, joining Oral Hershiser in September 1988 as the only true starters to finish a scoreless month while making at least 4 starts. Sanchez has thrown 44 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. That includes 7 shutout innings in San Diego last week. He struck out 9, walked no Padres in that game. His scoreless inning streak is the longest by a Philly since at least 1893. Can the Padres somehow get to Christopher Sanchez? That is key number one. Key number two, keep walking this way. Walker Buehler gave up 2 runs in 5 innings and a third last Wednesday against the Phillies. Buehler has a 3.80 ERA over his last 4 starts. That comes after posting a 5.64 ERA through his first 7 starts as a Padre. Key number 3, Muzzle Marsh. Brandon Marsh was 4 for 4 on Tuesday. His .332 batting average on the season ranks 2nd in Major League Baseball. It's the highest batting average for a Philly through 60 games since Bobby Abreu and Mike Lieberthal hit .351 and .340 respectively in 1999. And oh, by the way, Marsh is 7 for 10 with a home run this season against the Padres, a lifetime .376 career hitter against the Padres. So can the Padres slow down Brandon Marsh? That's key number 3, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, well, not done talking about guys in the Phillies lineup. We'll focus on one more guy the Padres need to limit here today. We tell you all about it when we return. Padres baseball coming up here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. We sent things out to the broadcast booth in Philadelphia in under 5 minutes. Let's tell you what to watch for in Game 2 of this 3-game set.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Can the Padres slow down Kyle Schwarber? Schwarber DHing, leading off for the Phillies once again here today. He has reached base in 8 of 17 plate appearances against the Padres this season, 5 for 14, with 3 walks against them since joining the Phillies in 2022. Schwarber has a .415 on-base percentage, a .695 slugging percentage, with 17 home runs and 30 RBIs in 35 games against the Padres. That includes the 2022 National League Championship Series. So Kyle Schwarber has really hurt the Padres since joining the Phillies. As you probably know by now, can the Padres find a way to limit Kyle Schwarber in the middle game of this 3-game series? That's what to watch for here today. I do also want to mention, before we send things out to Philadelphia, Mason Miller was named the National League Reliever of the Month for May. That's after he won it for March and April of this season. Miller went 7 for 7 in save opportunities during the month of May, 9 2/3 straight scoreless innings with 20 strikeouts, held opponents to a 121 batting average during the month of May. So no surprise, Mason Miller, the National League Reliever of the Month for May. So a big congratulations, as always, to Mason Miller. Well, yesterday, the Padres losing 3-2, an offensive struggle. Can the Padres get the offense going against a very tough customer on the mound for the Phillies here today, left-hander Christopher Sanchez? We're going to find out. When we come back, we send things out to Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Jesse Agler, Bob Scanlon standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.